Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Three Siders Season 3, Episode 2, and the name of this episode is Secure the Bag. This was a short episode, but it was really good because how the way this episode ended literally had my mouth drop like, whoa. So pretty much I'm going to make this a very short video. Pretty much how the episode opens, we see that Suki is having this fantasy that Mason has come around, because we saw from the last episode, Suki literally tried to crawl up in bed with Mason, but Mason turned him down and was like, this ain't going down. Even got to a point where he kind of became forceful, was like, you don't get the hell out of my bed, Suki. But Suki in her mind is playing this fantasy that Mason has come around, and now Mason wants Suki, but Suki's like, oh no, I wanted you last night, but you pushed me away. But it's like, but then you see that Mason's kind of like playing this like, oh, but that was then, and I didn't really see how special you were, and this is going on in Suki's mind, that Mason is coming around, and every time Mason tries to get close, Suki rejects him like, no, you're not going to play with me like you did the other guys that you were with and all of this shit. But then finally it comes into, they finally come to, and we see that Mason as well as Suki, they're pretty much at the mannequin factory, and, Suki is coming there with some forms for Mason to sign, which Mason signs them. Pretty much, and even while he was signing them, he noticed that something was strange about the forms, but he went ahead and signed them anyway. So now it's back to the actual time. Mason lets Suki know again, like, look, what happened last night can never happen again. And then Suki's like, never again? He's like, no, never again. And pretty much, Suki is still trying to push up on Mason. And Mason's like, you know what, Suki, you need to get on your knees and you need to ask God to forgive you for your sins. And then Suki's like, on my knees? I'm like, Suki is a hot ass mess. And Suki's like, you know what, Suki, go somewhere with that. Because he said that, look, with all this crazy stuff going on with sexual harassment and, Donald Trump and this whole thing going on, I don't want none of this involved in my business. So we need to keep it professional, and we need to keep it business, nothing more, nothing less. Like, I see you as a friend, but that's all. There's going to be no more than that. So Suki's like, yeah, okay, fine. And Mason signs the forms, and Suki goes off. Then we see that Mason has a conversation with Kiko, and he lets Kiko know about it. And then Kiko's like, why don't you fire his ass? What the hell? She says, like, and Mason's like, look, I'm not trying to have any drama because this can go left, and, I'm not looking for no sexual harassment, Donald Trump type of ish going on in my business. My business right now is in the red. I just want to get, our business back. I just want to get my business, back to, I want to get my business, out of the red, and I want to be able to focus on my future, and I don't want none of this to get in the way of that. But Kiko was like, really like wondering like what the hell, because it's like, okay, this dude actually came on to you, so really you're the victim here. Why are you trying to protect Suki? But then again, I understand Mason's state of mind that, look, he's just trying to build his business, and he's not trying to get involved in no bullshit, which in that respect is a smart way to be, because like, you're not trying to create problems, you're trying to solve them. So in Mason's mind, he's trying to solve a problem, not realizing that this problem is going to take a different turn, but I'm going to get to that. So pretty much what ends up happening is that Kiko has some clients lined up, so he says that, yeah, go out there and get them clients together, because, we need the money, and we need to turn this whole red situation, with the mannequin factory around. So Mason the mannequin factory's not doing well, and he's really looking to Suki and Kiko to help, to help get everything together so the mannequin factory can start turning a profit again. But while Kiko's gone, handling her clients, Mason gets a visitor, and guess who? It's Ronnie's ass. Ronnie's up in there, Ronnie looked good, by the way, too, with that, with that shortcut. Ronnie was working it. And she was like, look, I'm trying to leave town, and, I actually need some money, you can kind of give me like about 25, and you can just kind of give me a little bit in installments and all that. And Mason's like, what the hell you mean, 25? Like, $25? And, 2,500? And she's like, no, 25,000. He's like, you done really done bumped your damn head, haven't you? And she's like, no, I haven't. You don't have the money? Ronnie is a mess. Because Ronnie is just like, you don't have the money? Why didn't? She's like, I gave you my life insurance policy. She's like, yeah. And it makes her like, yeah, you gave me the life insurance policy, and I used it to start the mannequin factory. Because remember, you're supposed to be dead, but for some odd reason, you don't get that. She's like, no, I don't. Why you don't have the money? And he lets her know that, look, right now the mannequin factory's in the red. He ain't got no money to give to her. Well, she's like, well, y'all need to find a way to get me some money because I got to get up out of here. And I got to, I got to get my life, I got to, restart my life again. And, Mason is just like grappling with this, like, Ronnie, you faked your own death. I used that insurance money to, build the mannequin factory because the beauty bar burnt down. And she's like, well, you mean to tell me that y'all burnt down my business and you used my money to start your business, but you ain't got no money to help me, and I helped you, and like, she's like, yeah, I thank you for helping me, but as of right now, things are bad, and you're supposed to be dead, Ronnie, but here you are popping up, Next thing you know, Kiko finally comes back, and they both have a run-in with each other, and this was classic, because Kiko and Ronnie, you can tell they're family, because Kiko has a lot of her aunt's ways, because they were going back and forth. I swear, they were like Doublemint twins. It was crazy. And eventually, Mason's like, look, you two need to sit down and talk, because Kiko is beside herself because she's the last person to find out that Ronnie was alive. Mason knew, Brandon knew, and she was the last one to find out. So she definitely feels some kind of way, like, how could you do this to me? I cried at your funeral, and she's like, yeah, you cried at the funeral, but it wasn't mine. Like, Ronnie is just very dismissive and just very nonchalant. But when they actually sat down and talked, Ronnie finally showed her true side to Kiko, and she says that, look, I know I'm usually not sorry for some of the crazy stuff I've done, but I had to do what I had to do. Victor was after me, the beauty bar wasn't turning a profit, and, she's like, I had to do what I had to do. And she says, but the way I did it, and the way that it affected you, I do apologize for that. So she really does show that she cares about Kiko, and even tells Kiko that, yeah, I may have faked my own death, but I've always had your back, Kiko, because you wouldn't be walking around these streets the way you have been without me. And I had to think about that because I remember in season 3 of Triangle, we saw Kiko and Mason get into it, and then Kiko leaves the house, and we see that there's somebody's watching Kiko, and I think that person was Ronnie. So Ronnie has been kind of like that shadow that's been looking after Kiko since then. And I can definitely see that to be true, that, she's definitely still looking after her niece. But Kiko breaks down, And, you know, she was saying that, and pretty much within the conversation, Ronnie reveals information about her grandparents. And she pretty much tells Kiko that, look, your grandparents weren't shit. Your grandfather used to run in and out of brothels. Your grandmother was an alcoholic. I turned to drugs. And, you know, growing up, me and your father had to fight and scrap for everything we wanted. And she said that I turned to drugs and your father pretty much kind of disowned me, but then he came back into my life. So she's saying that, look, me, you, and your father, we all the family we got. You know, all we have is each other. So, you know, pretty much they kind of hug it out, and she says that, look, I care about you, I love you. And she said in time your father's gonna realize he loves you too. And she's like, my father, he slept with my man. And Ronnie was like, well, hey, he always had a thing for big asses. I don't know what to tell you. I was like, it's true. That's true about Clint's ass. So I was like, that is interesting. But it was good to see Ronnie and Kiko have that moment, you know, where, you know, aunt and, you know, pretty much Kiko finally reestablished a relationship with her aunt, and Ronnie finally told her the truth about her family, and she pretty much, I think also kind of gave some understanding as to why Clint is the way he is. I mean, look how they grew up. And it actually makes more sense on why Clint is so ruthless and why Clint is so heartless, because he literally had to fight and scrape for whatever he wanted. So he has this ruthless streak. And Ronnie has it too. And we're seeing how the way Ronnie handled things with the beauty bar and everything else. That explains why Ronnie moves the way she does. So it actually added some clarity. So that was a good scene. But then we get the shocker of this episode. Mason gets a knock on the door. Mason opens the door, and it's Suki with her comrade named Callahan. Now, Callahan is pretty much got a damn good, definitely the beard is lined up nice, and the hair is laid. So she is serving, androgyny like no business. And she looks good, too. And it has, like, this red coat on. So, they both wearing fur coats. Suki's wearing the same, black fur coat that she did when she was trying to seduce Mason. When she was trying to give that love and hip-hop tease. And Callahan had on, like, a red coat. And they come up in there, and all of a sudden, Mason's like, what the hell is this? And who is this you brought with you? Like, what is that? And she's like, excuse me? And she's like, well, who is that? And she's like, oh, that's just for my good comrade Callahan. And she's like, well, why is Callahan looking like she want to do something to me? And Callahan was like disrespectful too, because it gets to a point where him and Suki start getting into it, and Callahan just kind of gets all up in Mason's face like she about to do something. And then Mason's like, really? In my house? In my house? Really? And she's like, why the hell are you here, Suki? What the hell do you want? She's like, oh, I got to show you something. And he opens it, like, oh, so you're throwing out an application for food stamps? She's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm doing that for somebody else. My bad. This is what I want to send you. So he pulls out this other form, and he opens it, and he's like, what the hell is this? And he says, oh, yeah, when you and Kiko, was clowning about me being the help? Well, I helped myself to the deed, and what you just done is that you signed over the mannequin factory to me. You got 24 hours to vacate the premises, and this literally sends Mason into a rage, and he begins to, like, jack up Suki, and then Callahan grabs the bottle of wine like she's about to crack, like she's about to hit Mason over the head. She's like, really? And then like, Suki is like really feeling herself. She's like, oh girl, don't even worry about it. Put that cheap wine down. Let's go. And she's like, 24 hours, Mason. 24 hours. And then Mason is just sitting back like, I just got duped by Pinky and the motherfucking brain. And that's where the episode ended. I'm like, Suki, you ratchet bitch. Because the man wouldn't give you the D, you gonna take his business? Where the fuck they do that at? It was just a really shocking episode because I was just sitting there like, yo, Suki has hit a new low. I'm like, damn. Like, first of all, Boo Boo, you was wrong as hell to even be trying to, you know, get between the sheets with your boss, because you know they say you don't crap where you eat. But because you couldn't get your way, you decided to pull a maneuver and take his business right from under him. But I have to tell you, Suki, you may be getting some enemies that you don't want with this shit. So right now, Suki feeling herself, but the shit can easily come back to bite her in the ass. So we just have to keep watching to see what's going to happen. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell to get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, more than anything, subscribe to brtbtv.com. I have that link in the description box. Also, check out the Triangle Fan Club where you get everything BRTBTV, and you also will get posts from, you know, the cast and crew, as well as updates from the creator Cecil Williams. So definitely Triangle Fan Club on Facebook, but subscribe to brtbtv.com. As well, subscribe to my channel and click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms that I have listed on the description box: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Three Siders. So until then, everybody, take care.